So you will get a chance in November to vote on a plan that could lower hourly wages for many workers who earn tips. The minimum wage here in Arizona is $14.35 an hour, but a worker who makes tips has a minimum wage of $11.35 an hour. If voters approve the Tipped Workers Protection Act, an employer could actually reduce a tipped worker's hourly wage to $10.76 as long as the worker's take-home pay with tips evened out to at least $16.35 an hour. Some business owners say this will allow them to hire more workers and invest in their operations, but some groups see this as a big hit to tipped workers, and they're fighting the passage of that plan. So here to talk with us about tipping is financial expert Angelica Prescod. Great to have you here. You know, the last time we were talking about tipping, it resonated with so many viewers, so we wanted to bring it back again. But talking about, what's ahead on the ballot, this is very, concerning for a lot of these employees who really depend on these tips. You get that, that service fee, that eats a chunk. And as a consumer, okay, you're going to tip the waiter 20%, and then on top of a service fee, that could add up. So what do you do?
Well, you have to first start with your budget. Before you even step outside and go out and eat, figure out what your family play money is in that arena. And once you know what that is, you can adjust accordingly to what places you're going to go to, because at the end of the day, if they're giving you great service, there's never an issue with being able to tip, as long as you know what you're prepared to do.
All right, let's talk about where we tip, because I think that's changed a lot.
It has.
Over the last decade or so. So now when I show up and they've got one of those card readers that's an iPad, I'm waiting for them to hit me. Sometimes it says, it starts at 20%, 20, 25, like 30%. I'm like,
I've even seen 35.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, where should we tip? Where shouldn't we tip?
So first of all, tip on the service that you're actually wanting to tip for. Sometimes we're including one thing and the next, and you really want to tip on topic B. So address how much money you're spending there, and there's always a button called Other. And there you're able to tip exactly the dollar amount that you see fit for what you're giving that service tip for. So 20, 30, 35, click on Other and put exactly what you want.
Or custom. It's Other or custom.
Yes, that's another one too. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty and throw you some examples and scenarios, because my coworkers, we're all talking about this.
Please, bring it on.
So let's just say you go to an event location, right? And you pay for that activity. But then when the bill comes, okay, it's all combined with the food and drink as well. So, I mean,
What are you talking about?
You want me to be specific?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Christy, our executive producer, Top Golf.
Okay.
Oh, Top Golf.
Okay.
Been there,
So
been
you
there.
don't tip on the golf. You tip only on the food and the
Right.
drink.
Yes.
But you feel like she feels obligated. Do you tip on the whole thing?
Break it down. If you have a phone that has a calculator and you don't know to do the math, make the math happen for you. Break it apart and tip the food, or tip the server. Sometimes tip the server directly and not do it with a card. So cash might be king in this situation to make sure the people that you really want to say thank you to receive it. But no, the hitting the ball was not what you're trying to tip.
Right.
It's
That
that
was the
extra
activity.
drink that they gave you right when it was super hot and it came right on time. Make sure that person gets that appreciation, but break it apart.
Okay.
Those are two completely different things. Tip what you want to tip for.
So I was in a hotel room recently.
Yes.
And they had a little QR code on the mirror.
Yes.
And you scan that and you can tip the maid. Do you tip maids in hotel rooms? And if you do, what do you tip them?
I like to tip each day, because you may have different maids depending on the day. Before, I used to tip at the end of the day, the last day, and I wasn't getting the people I really wanted to say thank you to. And I like to tip them directly. I like to leave it under the lamp. I like to do something outside of that QR code, because you don't really know whether it's going to have a couple filters of other hands touching it before that person even receives it.
So what, $1, $5 a day?
I would say 5. I would say 10. If you made a real big mess, don't hesitate, because I have a baby, and if she pukes somewhere, I really, hey, we got to say the truth here.
That's a big
That's a huge cleanup I don't want to do, and I'm thankful they came to help. So showing up, and if your room's completely clean, do what you need to do, but 5 is fine, 10 is fine, but make sure it works with your budget. I don't want anyone going into severe debt because they were tipping excessively for the look of it.
And it just depends. Depends on the scenario. Okay, one more scenario.
Yes.
Again, a coworker was bringing up. Okay, so grocery pickup.
Yes.
You get there and, she wants to pick it up so she doesn't have to pay for delivery,
Right.
right? But when the worker comes out and loads it in the car,
Oh, I never
feel-
tip them. Am I supposed to tip them?
well, that's what she was wondering.
That's up to you. Honestly, if you had to drive your car to go get it, I really think the tip is not really something you have to do because the workers there would have come out for carts or any other thing as well.
You didn't tip the checker inside the store.
I didn't think so,
Right?
but if it's a fast and if you bought for like 16 weeks and your whole car is packed and they had to use some bicep strength to get it in there, sure, drop a 5, drop something. But if you don't have it, don't do it. Let's work with our budgets. Let's be realistic. Things are expensive these days.
Inflation, all
Yes,
of it.
but if you drove your car, some gas was also used to get there, and the tip should probably be to you too.
There you go.
And after a meal, 15%, 20%. I mean,
If you stood up to go get the meal, you don't have to tip.
what about service?
If the service is coming in, I would say 10 to 20%. Range it there because at the end of the day, sometimes the server doesn't even come back to check on you. You practically just get the service and you leave. If they didn't come to say, hey, how are you, at least one time, it might not be where you
The
need to be
initial
given
greeting
to.
is key for me.
Yes.
I used to be a server. Even
Me
if you're
too.
slammed, you show up. Hey,
Yes,
I see you.
yes.
I acknowledge
Acknowledge
you.
me,
Yes.
I'll be right with
I
you.
used to travel overseas and work at the bar that I want to eat at. The restaurant I want to eat at, I would volunteer work and get free food and get tons of tips too.
What would you do?
Listen,
You volunteer
I-
work to
yeah,
get free
but
food?
free food
That's a whole other
and
segment.
tips. But we'll talk about it on another
Okay.
segment.
Money saving Monday, y'all.
Money making Monday and Earth
Yeah,
Day.
exactly.
All right, thanks for coming in.